Hi, my name's Dominic Ingram. You might know me from my best-selling book, Leg Break Bowling. Should it be allowed? How many more legs are going to be broken before we address this serious problem? But today, I'd like to talk to you from my vast knowledge of the world about history, in particular King Alfred the Great, one of our greatest kings. Now, history is divided into three eras. Primeval, where we all lived in swamps, the medieval, which is the middle bit, and resident evil, which is where we reside now. Coincidentally, it's also the name of a film about zombies. Now, Alfred was the first king of all England when England was divided into different kingdoms, several different kingdoms, and the north of England was all ruled by the Danes, and it was called the Dane Law, not to be confused with canon law or Dennis law, or indeed Cole's law. Now, the Danes, often called Vikings, and why not, were great seafarers. Indeed, there is evidence to suggest that they were the first to discover America. Idiots.
Do some more people really get on your nerves and you prefer they wasn't there? Just call the AA. That's us, Aaron's Assassins. If you would like a wife or a husband or a business competitor removed, or even someone that's just pissed you off a bit, just call us. We're your local murderers. We will remove the evidence responsibly, and we have a plan to suit every budget. Of course, if you don't pay, there might be a suicide chucked in as well. Get my meaning? So this time next week, your biggest problem could be sleeping with the fishes underneath the motorway. Just call us during business hours, that's between midnight and 2 in the morning, and we will be there. And this month we are offering extra pay as standard. Aaron's Assassins, the killers that care.
Sorry about that. That's Aaron. He's our sponsor, and he's very demanding. And if we don't put his advert in, it's concrete boots. Having said that, he's a very good-looking man, isn't he? Now, going back to the Danes, they came across the North Sea in longboats, often called residuals. Because they were Scandinavians, the ships they had were all self-assembly and always had a bit left over. Here's a picture of one. Here we can see the picture of a Viking warship pre-construction. You can see the numbers printed on the planks, and at the back you might just be able to make out a massive Allen key that they kept for 5 years and never used again. Alfred's father was a wise and powerful king called Ethelwulf, and his brothers were Ethelred, Ethelbert, Ethelbald and Brian. And Alfred's grandfather was King Egbert, who fought the Danes but could never defeat them. Egbert was England's first vegetarian king, hence his regal name, Egbert No Bacon. And here's a picture of Alfred. This picture is in black and white because it was taken with an old box brownie. The Danes were a fierce and warlike people with terrifying names like Eric Bloodaxe, Harold Wartooth and Magnus the Unpleasant. And we all know of King Canute. There was no spell check in those days, and when he died he was succeeded by his brother Arthur Canute, who wasn't such a good king, but they just thought that Arthur Canute was better than no Canute at all. And the people who inhabited England before the Danish invasions were the Angles. Now, the Angles were divided up into men and women, and the women were renowned for their beauty, and the men weren't that bright. They were renowned for being not very clever, hence the terms we still use today, acute angle and obtuse angle. Now, Alfred had 3 daughters, Godwin, Godawful and God Help Us. Only one of them married. Nobody knows why. And one of the most famous stories about Alfred is when he burnt the cakes at some woman's house. Here's a picture of it. You can see the woman berating him, which is a dangerous thing to do to your king, especially when he has a red-hot toasting fork in his hand. This took place in a place called Wanstead, and as a tribute, they've opened a grate on the very spot where it happened. Amongst Alfred's great achievements was the fact that he initiated England's first navy, which was witnessed a few years after his death, when England defeated a small fleet of ships from Spain called the Spanish Armadillo, led by King Philip the Flatulent of Spain, and of course whose wife was the very spicy Catherine of Tarragon. Alfred also initiated defences around the kingdom to prevent the Danes from invading, and which he learnt from King Offa of Mercia, who was the person who built Offa's Dyke, or Offa's Ditch as we have to call it now, because somebody phoned in to say they were offended. But unfortunately, I will have to cut this lecture short now because I cut my foot earlier and my shoe is filling up with blood. But we're going out tonight. It's Burns night, and it's also the Chinese New Year. So we're going to a Chinese Burns night, which should be a lot of fun. But I hope you've learned something useful from this lecture. If you have, it's a bloody miracle. Goodbye. Hope you enjoyed that. It was me all the time. Such fun. Listen, stay sterile. It won't be long now. Stay pure. Stay sane. We'll soon be out there playing cricket and getting drunk in public in no time at all. Cheers all.